Welcome back, everyone, to Ready, Set, Rewatch, where we are boldly going to continue our journey watching Star Trek the original series. My name is Skylar, and this is my best friend, Daniel.
Hello.
Daniel, let me ask you a very important question.
Yeah.
Who do you think would win in a fight? Captain Ahab or Jack the Ripper?
Oh, do Jack the Ripper's powers work on men? It's hard to know. It's hard to know. Ahab's a Looney Tune, though, so I'm still going to go with my boy Jack.
Mm-hmm.
Is it weird that this is not the first Moby Dick episode that we've gotten?
Yes, it is weird. They at least take it in a slightly different direction. But is it a good direction? I don't know. Let's find out. So, with that in mind, let's jump into that episode, our first episode, Obsession.
Obsession. So Obsession starts down on a planet where Kirk, Spock, and some random redshirts have found a vein of tritanium, which is a new element that we've never heard of before, but is apparently used in life support systems. I don't know.
It's as powerful as 3 taniums.
It's as strong as 3 taniums, or as they say, 20 times harder than diamonds. As soon as they start examining it, someone around the corner starts setting off a fog machine.
Gandalf is behind a rock, puffing big smoke rings.
Yeah. At first you're intimidated, but then a little smoke boat comes out and a ring goes around it, and you're like, "Oh, it's just Gandalf."
That's cool.
That's probably
That's
fine.
cool.
Someday I'm going to learn how to do that.
You know what? Spock and Gandalf would get along really well, I think.
Yeah. He'd be like, I'm so glad that I don't have to deal with Hobbit bullshit anymore.
I don't know if they'd have a lot similar to talk about, but they would just match each other's vibes, I feel. A respectful nature.
They would have a lot of fun, for sure. So yeah, fog machine gets turned on, and Spock's like, okay, I'll just shoot a chunk of this rock off with my phaser. Let's never
Not that
forget
strong.
that you could do that. Phasers are just mining lasers now, as it turns out.
That's true. Phasers can do a lot of stuff.
Which seems to maybe scare the fart gas cloud, because they then play the footage of it rolling out in reverse, by which I mean it ran away.
It goes back inside.
But Kirk smells a smelly smell, and he recognizes a sweet honey smell, and he starts freaking out for reasons that no one will know for approximately 30 minutes. And he has all of the red shirts sweep the perimeter, scanning for something called dichronium, which is not the same element that the rock was. And then he tells them to shoot any clouds that they see, which is a crazy thing for anyone to say ever.
At this point,
Yeah.
I feel like Kirk already knows what he's looking for, and he should take about 30 to 40 seconds and explain what the fuck he's talking about better than he has.
Right. If he said what it was now, we would save a lot of time later.
And upwards of 4 lives, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, we don't know for sure it would have saved the lives, but at least we would have known what happened. It is, I don't know. It is also like, hey, shoot at all the clouds does have the same energy as that one Roman emperor that told his army to go throw spears into the ocean to piss off Poseidon.
I mean, if it works, it works, you know?
Yeah. I mean, Poseidon's always kind of pissed. That's the nature of the ocean, I guess.
That's right.
Spock says that they're not going to find any dichronium while they're scanning around, because apparently it only exists in lab experiments. But hey, wouldn't you know it, the red shirts immediately find a gas cloud, which then sweeps down and kills 2 of them.
And makes a third one watch.
Yeah, before attacking the third, who it nearly kills, and it is a man called Rizzo, friend of the show, Rizzo the rat, Rizzo from Survivor, Rizzo this guy who won't last much longer. Spoilers.
The trifecta of Rizzos.
Yep.
Tri-Rizzo, they call it.
Yeah. Kirk and Spock run on over to him, but 2 of them have already gotten super pale makeup thrown on them, which means that they're dead. But it also means apparently that every red corpuscle in their body will have been drained. I had to look up what corpuscle is, because it's not a word humans use often, but it just means blood cell.
Mm-hmm.
It's just blood cells.
It's real, though.
It is real. That's the right word. I was just like, but what does that mean exactly? Just blood cell. We just chose to be different about it. And then we get our intro. So basically, there's a vampire cloud killing people. Exciting show. Exciting show.
Yeah. We've had vampires. We've had clouds.
Yeah.
We've had someone being Captain Ahab over something, and we just threw all that together. This is Mom said we're having leftovers tonight.
Yeah. Mom said we had Moby Dick at home. In medbay, after the break, Rizzo is getting a blood transfusion, and Nurse Chapel says that he's missing 60% of his blood, which
No, not the corpuscles.
sounds crazy. I don't know how much blood you can lose and survive. That seems like it's pushing it. Spock comes over on a TV screen to say that they are ready to leave orbit, but Kirk's like, nah, dude, we're staying. Which then has Scotty pop in to say that they're supposed to pick up some very perishable medical supplies, their vaccines, we'll find out in a second, from a different ship called the Yorktown to take it to a planet where people are dying called Theta 7. And Kirk's like, no, I'm going to find this cloud.
Turns out, if you lose 20% of your blood, you go into shock, which this guy did.
Yeah.
But normally, if you lose 40% of your blood, that's pretty much it. So,
Well,
the fact that he lost 60, this guy's built different.
yeah. Kirk says that they're staying even if it costs lives on Theta 7. Like, he even very specifically says, even if people die on Theta 7, which I think is a crazy thing to have your main character say in a television program. He then asks Bones for an autopsy report, and Bones says that, yep, all of the red corpuscles have indeed been drained from their bodies with no incision, which is impossible, making it standard fare for this crew.
Yeah, we deal with impossible stuff every week.
Kirk then tells him to look up the logs of a ship called the USS Farragut, or Farragut. People said it different, and then I didn't know how to say it. From 11 years ago, because they ran into the same thing, and it apparently killed like half the crew or something.
I think they say at some point that it was like 200 people.
It was a lot. And the captain. Which does make you wonder how, in a minute here, we're not going to know this thing exists. You know what I mean? How does half a ship get killed by a thing? And it's just like, oh, we didn't know.
I mean, Kirk knew, obviously.
True.
He knew it by the smell.
Yeah. Kirk then asks if Rizzo can be woken up without pain, and Bones is like, yeah, probably. So they do. So that Kirk can question him, and then Kirk asks him what happened, and Rizzo confirms that A, it did smell sweet, which honestly doesn't seem like an important question to spend, but whatever. And then he, for some reason, asks if he felt like the cloud had intelligence, which the guy's like, yeah, for sure. And then...
yeah. It seemed to know what it was doing, I guess.
Yeah, it was really like all up in me, you know what I mean? And then he passes back out. On the bridge, Kirk meets with Spock, and Spock says that they scanned for life on the planet and found nothing. They also scanned for dichronium and again found nothing. And Spock says that it can't be a creature unless the creature has the ability to change itself alchemy-like from one element to another. And Kirk's like, yeah, that's a good idea. That's probably what it's doing. And Spock looks at him like, what? Do you mean?
If you say so, I guess.
So Spock goes to talk to Bones on Kirk's recommendation. He's like, you should go read the logs that Bones is reading right now. And Spock's like, yeah, all right. So they do. And then a new security officer, who looks a little bit like my cousin Clifford, walks in. His name's Garavik.
Shout out Clifford.
He's dead.
Oh my God.
And talks to Kirk, who recognizes the name and asks him if his dad is who he thinks he is. And Garavik's like, yep, and then we don't talk about it. We'll talk about it later, but not right now. Uhura doesn't ask. Uhura lets us know right after that very brief conversation with Garavik that Rizzo has died in sickbay. It turns out losing 60% of your blood, pretty bad. Even in the future, pretty bad.
Pour one out for Rizzo. We only just had our third Rizzo, and now we've lost him.
Yep. Rizzo the Rat's dead, too.
No, don't you dare.
Mm-hmm.
Rumors of the drug overdose were unfounded.
They executed him because of his crimes during the Black Plague.
I see it. I get it.
I
understand.
They gave him the death penalty. So Kirk asked Garavik if he knew Rizzo, which he did. I guess they were in the academy together. And then he says that he's going to have a shot at the thing that killed him. And Garavik's like, yeah, man, cool. I love killing clouds.
All right, yeah.
Kirk, Garavik, and some other red shirts beam back down to the planet to find the thing and immediately split up, which is, I'm sure, going to go great. Garavik's group then immediately is attacked by the cloud.
Dead. They're all dead again. Good job. Glad we split up.
He shoots it, but he waits for a second first, and it ends up killing one red shirt and injuring another. And then we get a second commercial break. We're going real fast through this one
Mm-hmm.
because there's frankly not a ton happening, at least in this first half.
Mm.
After the break, Kirk, Spock, and McCoy meet with Garvik in the briefing room to ask him about the attack, and he says it was a gaseous cloud that hovered for a second and then attacked.
And Kirk does not take kindly to this because the hovered for a second means that even though I specifically told you not to hesitate, you hesitated.
Yeah.
You little bitch.
He gets mad at him for not shooting the second that he saw the cloud, and then relieves him of duty and confines him to his quarters, which we get a really funny scene actually where Garvik goes to his room and like throws himself on his bed and cries in like a very like I guess 60s way where men aren't really allowed to cry, so he just like covers his face with his arm so you can't see. I don't know. I thought it was really funny because like I feel like we don't get cutaways like that for our random guest characters, so it was kind of nice to see that. I'm just
We
like,
should see more characters crying.
I agree. I want to see every character cry at least once.
No, not Spock. He can't do it.
He should cry extra.
He-
We've already
he
seen
has.
him. Yeah,
He has, and he will do it again.
good. On the bridge, Scotty tells Kirk that they're ready to leave, and Uhura says that the ship they're supposed to be meeting is asking where the hell they are. Kirk instead then gets mad and jumps immediately to accusing his officers and assumedly best friends of conspiring against him, and then he yells at Chekhov and leaves.
Kirk, what the fuck is your problem with this episode?
Hey, what's up with you? Would you like to explain anything to anyone? No, just gonna be mad. Spock then goes to meet with McCoy about Kirk's obsession with the cloud, and he says that he read the files from the Farragut about how half of its crew had been killed by this thing, including the captain whose name was Garvik, just like the new security officer. Bones goes to talk to Kirk, revealing that he was on the Farragut and did exactly the same thing that Garvik just did. He hesitated before shooting the cloud and now blames himself for the deaths of the people that the thing killed.
You know what I'm just now realizing?
Yeah.
We've already talked about how this episode is kind of comprised of a bunch of leftover microwaved plot synopsis that we've done before. Well, there's another one because remember when Kirk was like stationed on that planet that had a massive genocide with a warlord on it, and then he and another crew member also on the Enterprise, like yeah. How many massively traumatic events did Kirk go through before he was serving on the Enterprise?
At least 2, it turns out.
God damn.
Bones says that he's going to make a medical log of Kirk's emotional condition, which may be able to remove him from control of the ship. But he's like, and it requires a senior officer. And then Spock walks in like, and I was here the whole time.
Ooh, got him.
And Spock starts like reading him the book a little bit. He's like, the response I'm supposed to give you in the book is this, and just like says it verbatim. And Kirk's like, shut the fuck up. They then ask him why he won't leave to get the medicine, and he says he thinks that this is the same creature that attacked the Farragut. Bones and Spock seem to not believe that it is a creature, and this is a point that I want to focus on for a second here. We fought clouds before on this show.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we not believing that this cloud is a thing?
I don't have an answer.
We fought a sparkly gas cloud like 3 episodes ago.
It was less than 4 episodes ago. Yeah, it was somewhere in there.
And like, we can't detect it because it's not made out of the thing that we thought it was made of or whatever. But like, what was it, season 1? There was that Horta lava slug thing that was made out of silica. And we were like, oh my god, a life form made out of a new thing.
Yeah.
We've done this before. Why are we surprised?
I think we're all just so emotional.
Even Spock somehow.
Somehow, a little bit.
Kirk says if it is the same creature and it's capable of space travel, which he's assuming because this is not the planet that the Farragut was attacked on, or near, I guess, that it's a huge threat because it could go to different planets and kill a bunch of people there, which is, I guess, fair. But if it's still not believed to be real, it must not be doing that much.
That's a good point. Unless it's killing literally everything that comes in contact with it.
Yeah.
But then at that point, someone would notice like everyone that goes in this sector of space isn't coming back.
Yeah, hey, Starbase 11 won't talk to us anymore, and then you go there and none of them have blood. He asks Bones what report he will make, and Bones is like, I'll hold off for now. Even though he doesn't believe that the cloud is a thing, but he's, I guess, giving his friend the benefit of the doubt for now. which is something. Just then, Chekhov lets them know that the cloud has left the planet and is zooming through space at warp 8.
That's fast. Can I just say?
That's fast enough. That is 2 warps faster than the Enterprise can go without exploding.
Yeah.
So they start chasing
Yeah.
after it, and Scotty's like, bro, we can't do that. And he even says, we're gonna fucking explode, dude. We can't be doing this. And begrudgingly, Kirk finally slows down. But meanwhile, in Garevik's quarters, Nurse Chapel brings him dinner, which includes, of course, a bunch of really gross-looking food cubes.
Multicolored food cubes make a grand return.
She then starts talking to him about he doesn't seem like he's gonna eat, I guess. And so she holds up a data card that's like, this is your prescription from Dr. McCoy that says that you have to eat or he's gonna feed you intravenously. Which I will say, when I was in the hospital for my jaw surgery, like a lot of years back, they do make threats like that in the hospital.
How you gonna force someone to eat with no jaw? How does that make sense?
They were like, it was like, hey, if this happens, we're gonna have to cut your throat open and put this tube in your neck. And then there was another one where it was like, I hadn't, like, maybe this is too much information. I hadn't pooped for like the first couple hours after I woke up, and they're like, well, if you can't poop, we're gonna have to like cut you open and take the poop out. I was like, what? It's been a couple hours and you told me not to eat before I came here. What are you expecting to come out?
That lady just wanted to cut you open.
Anyway, and Nurse Chapel's doing the same thing because...
Is it so wrong to love your job, Daniel?
Yes, in this case, yes. Okay. Nurse Chapel's doing the same shit because she goes back to Bones and puts the data card or whatever you want to call it back in like a tray of floppy disks. And he's like, I forget what he says it is, but it's like some survey of some shit that is completely not what she said it was. And he's like, what are you doing with this? Like, why'd you steal this thing on this military ship? And she's like, I was applying reverse psychology. And all I could think was like, he was probably still going to eat. He was just mad. Like, he wasn't like, you put the thing on the table 1 second ago and then immediately threatened him.
What we've discovered today is that all nurses across the board are bullies that like to cut people open.
And that's a stance that I want to say is 100% true and accurate to all nurses.
Yeah. Everywhere. Undoubtedly. If you're a nurse and you're listening to this, we are on to you.
Yeah. He's like blaming himself, I guess, for the people dying. He's doing the same thing that Kirk is doing, basically, but just at the beginning. He's on the first stage of guilt, so he's still blaming himself for the people dying down on the planet. So he goes over to the food and takes the like cloche or the lid or whatever off the food cubes, and then he gets mad and throws it at a vent on his wall. This will come up later.
Oh, come on.
He then goes, fuck this, and he goes to the bridge to find that they are now shooting at the cloud. They shoot full ship phasers at it and then photon torpedoes, and nothing does anything to it. They just basically pass straight through it without doing any damage whatsoever. And then to make matters worse, the cloud goes, oh yeah, bet, and turns around and enters the ship. Bones gets mad at Kirk because another crew member has been killed. When it enters the ship, it kills like 2 people or something. It's off screen, so we don't see it, but it's mentioned that it happened. Is killed, and he calls it the cost of his monster hunt, and that he didn't care as long as he could put his head on his wall, like the cloud's head on his wall. Which the cloud, first of all, doesn't have heads. I understand the reference, but let's let's be realistic here. And second of all,
it'd be cool.
You're a military ship where it seems like a lot of your job is going around and destroying other things that are dangerous to people, like the Doomsday Machine. Why is this different?
Probably because it's alive. At this point in the episode, I wrote in my notes that Bones is working hard for the MVP of the episode award. Just because, just this moment where he puts his foot down and tells Jim that his obsession is bad. Unfortunately, like immediately after he does this, he's proven to be wrong and dumb.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
So,
It's like he's really trying, unfortunately. Spock, however, now believes that the cloud is in fact a creature because it turned to attack. And I would say we should, if turning around and attacking somebody is enough to be like, that's a live creature, then we should have already known that based on the description of it hovering before it attacked.
Minute one.
Yeah.
Minute one.
So I don't really understand why that's different, but Spock now believes.
Also, chasing us at warp 8 wasn't...
Or running away at warp 8, but yeah. And he's like, oh, it's able to use what is something like it's using gravitational fields or something to travel. And it's like, yeah, that's a thing clouds do normally.
I don't know. I'm not gonna say the episode has lost me,
but maybe a little bit.
But, yeah,
it hasn't got me.
You know what? Ooh, that's a good way to put it. I like that.
Kirk tells Scotty then to pump radioactive waste into the vents to see what it does.
Okay, so no, right? Obviously no.
One of my first reaction was, we just have that? I don't know what the ship runs on. I thought it was like dilithium or whatever. But yeah. I guess it's a nuclear ship now.
Our engines run on dilithium crystals, but maybe because we're the future, we just have nuclear stuff? Or maybe, hell, I don't know. I'm not a Star Trek scholar. Maybe dilithium crystals do produce radiation of some sort.
I mean, that would make the most sense if this is a thing that continues being true in later episodes. Yeah, I mean, that would have to be what it is, I guess.
I don't... There's definitely a future thing with radiation in the engines. So I'm gonna say yes.
Gotcha. Spock then tells Kirk that he shouldn't feel guilty about all the people dying because they just shot the cloud with giant ship-powered phasers and they didn't do anything, which meant even if Kirk had shot the thing without hesitating, it wouldn't have made a difference.
Well, he owes this kid an apology.
He does, in fact. He owes himself and this kid an apology.
No, he's still being kind of whack. He shouldn't apologize to himself just yet.
Well, but if it'll stop him from being whack. Either way, he goes to Garvik's room to tell him the same thing, basically. But they are interrupted when the cloud comes on in through the broken vent that he threw a thing at earlier. So Spock throws Garvik from the room, and he tries to close it, but because the thing is jammed, he can't close it the mechanical way, instead resorting to just kind of vaguely covering it with his hands.
Which
is not how you stop a gas.
I was a little too proud of what I wrote down in my notes.
Okay.
I wrote that Spock tries to catch smoke. He tries to catch smoke with his bare hands.
He does too.
Little prisoner of Azkaban for those who didn't. All right, go on. I'm stupid. Go on.
You're okay. They reverse the pressure in the vent to try and suck the smoke back out of the room, which works. But then now everyone in the hall is assuming that Spock is dead. But nope. Guess what? He's a Vulcan, so he's okay because his blood is green because his hemoglobin is made of iron or copper and not iron, which means he's immune to fart gas. Like he survived everything else.
He survived, and I can't stress this enough. Literally, because he's built different.
Yep. Maybe he can catch smoke with his hands. You ever wonder about that?
Oh, he did. He did do it too.
In the hall, after Kirk and Garvik forgive each other for not shooting faster because it wouldn't have made a difference, Kirk sort of wanders off, and Garvik has a really cute moment where he's just so jazzed in the hallway. I don't know. It made me happy. I liked this part of the episode where he's telling Garvik hey, you saw the phasers pass right through that thing. It wouldn't have made a difference. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't have made a difference when you did it, and it wouldn't have made a difference when I did it. And so he's kind of forgiving himself and Garvik at the same time. In a different episode, in a better episode, it could have been a really touching moment.
Yeah.
At which point the creature then flees back into space again, changing course to mislead them. But Kirk is like, I know where it's going. When I attacked me earlier or whatever, I smelled a different smell, and I know that smell means home. So it must be going back to the planet it attacked me on 11 years ago.
All right, now they've lost me completely.
I was like, you could smell home? What is that? I'm willing to accept it at this point just to get the episode over, but what does any of that mean?
Could he smell home, or was he saying that he was smelling the intent? He could smell what this thing was feeling.
He said the smell had changed, and that he thought that change in smell meant it was going home.
That's doesn't make it less stupid.
I don't know what it means. Yeah, it's truthfully, nah. Anyway, so they go to the planet that he got attacked on before, which looks remarkably like the one they were on a minute ago.
Dang.
And they decide to lure it in with a big tank of blood and then blow it up with an antimatter bomb that they specifically say will destroy half of the planet's atmosphere, which I then wrote would destroy the planet.
Yeah. Yeah, that planet's not bouncing back from that WMD.
And the shockwaves will also hit the Enterprise, causing issues for anyone trying to beam back. Anyway, go on.
I would hope the planet is uninhabited, right?
It must be.
They said that.
If it wasn't before, then the cloud living there would have probably made it that way.
Yeah, well, good point.
Unless it's inhabited by Vulcans, I guess.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Dude, this thing is like a sea anemone.
It's like it's like the fog monster from Lost, and the Dharma people are Vulcans.
Because the writers didn't know what to do with this either.
Yeah, pretty much. Kirk and Garvik beam down to the planet, but the cloud eats the blood before they're ready to blow it up. So Kirk's like, I guess I'll lure it in with my blood, and orders Garvik to go back to the ship. But Garvik's like, nah, instead I'm going to try and karate chop you in the back of the neck, which doesn't work for shit.
That was so funny. Judo chops to the back of the neck are like 100% field tested. That is how you knock somebody out.
In Star Trek,
Unless that somebody is James T. Kirk, because he is too strong for that shit, and he will just turn around and bitch slap you.
He does a lot of neck exercises.
Necking, they call it.
So they decide that they'll both make the heroic sacrifice and both wait until the cloud is touching the bomb to beam up, so that they can beam up and detonate at the same time. I just want to say, it's an antimatter bomb that's going to basically destroy half the planet. It didn't need to be touching the fucking bomb.
What was the reason we couldn't detonate this from space again?
Not a single idea.
Oh. They had to have said something, though, right?
Nope.
I'm just not remembering. Oh. Well, then they should have just detonated from space. I bet they could have shot it from space.
I guess we did find out earlier that they couldn't detect it with their scanners, so maybe it does make sense for them to beam down to like see where it is and then to blow it up. But again, the bomb destroys like half the planet. You didn't have to. Sure. You didn't have to be like hold.
Well, it can move at warp 8.
I guess
that's it. This thing's tapped into the fucking speed force.
That's fair. Anyway, there's trouble, but spoilers, it works. They beam up,
just like all good Scooby-Doo traps.
And we think that they're gonna lose for a second, like get lost in the beaming up process, but then Spock does a thing, and he's like, I got him, and then everything's fine, and we're all happy, and we're all on the ship. Bones thanks God, and Spock is like, it's not God, it's because I did this science thing. And he's like, okay, well, hell Satan, I guess.
Come on, Bones, you're a good Georgian boy. You don't believe in the Lord?
And then our little, like, smiley joke message on the way out is Kirk asking a young man to meet him in his quarters after hours so that they can talk about his dad.
All right. Very progressive.
And they drift away from this completely fucked planet that has a visible crater on it that's like most of that side of the planet.
I pray to God that nobody lived there. But,
and it all worked. We killed this cloud, which was probably sentient, and may have killed upwards of 200 people across 12 years or 11 years. It was definitely worth it to destroy the entire ecology of this entire planet by destroying, apparently, half of its atmosphere.
Case closed.
Glad we did that. Prime Directive who? We just blew up a intelligent life form without even attempting to make contact.
Well, it's contacted all over our corpuscles and got us killed, so fuck this thing.
We talked to the Horta. It was killing people.
Oh, but he was cute.
I guess. You got any trivia about the fart gas?
About the fart gas. Well, let's see. I've got some trivia. So, the ship that Kirk used to serve on, the USS Farragut, was named after David Glasgow Farragut, a flag officer in the U.S. Navy during the Civil War. He a rear admiral and then promoted to vice admiral and then eventually admiral. So he did the whole One Piece line of progression there. He's attributed with the famous quote, "Damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead," but that's like a misquote. That's not what he actually said. So
Makes
that's
sense.
cool.
Pretty cool.
Let's see. This is the only time in the series where phasers are said to have a disruptor setting.
Oh right, yeah, he does say to put it on that instead of like stun or whatever, I guess.
This episode establishes that Vulcan blood is copper based, which we already talked about. Um, the USS Yorktown that's mentioned. Yorktown was the name in Roddenberry's original script for the ship that was going to be what would become the Enterprise in the
Oh,
cage.
interesting.
And also Yorktown is, I don't know if we revisit it later in this series or maybe the animated series or anywhere else, but they do go to Yorktown in the film Star Trek Beyond. And it's like a big space station,
Oh,
if memory serves.
not Yorktown, the colony.
No. Well, it's like a no. They don't go to the colony. That is true.
They don't go back in time. Well, they do go back in time several times, but not on this
They,
occasion.
in that film, they don't go back in town. Back in time. Back in town. They go to York. Back in York. Okay, the next one. Um, Lieutenant Leslie is one of the red shirts that's killed by the cloud.
Okay.
After he's killed, we see him walking around on the bridge.
We just forget. We forgot.
Well, apparently there was a scene that was written where Leslie and all the other people that got their corpuscles sucked out are
Mm.
revived by McCoy, but they didn't film that.
I guess it would have
So,
undercut the "you're just letting all our crew members get killed" bit.
yeah. I mean, if it's any consolation, I didn't notice until I read this.
No,
So, good on them. So that's it for Obsession. What are we thinking about grading this one?
there's aspects of it that I like. I like the relationship between him and Garavik, even though, like you said, we already saw it earlier with Riley. I do think I like it better here than in the Riley episode, where it's, I don't know, the similarities between them are more personal than just like we were in the same place, you
Mhm.
know. So that's interesting, and I do think they play it better in this than they did in that one. But I just really don't like how they characterize Kirk in this episode.
That's my biggest complaint as well.
They make him like just completely unwilling to communicate with his team. He jumps immediately to saying that his people are conspiring against him. Like he goes, and clearly it's the point, but he goes like complete Captain Ahab immediately,
Yeah.
like within 1 second of smelling this thing.
Hmm.
And it's just such a twist on the character that we've come to know over however many episodes that it doesn't
Yeah.
feel natural at all. So I definitely would give this episode an illogical. I don't think it's necessarily like one of the worst episodes of Star Trek or even necessarily a bad episode, but it's just
Right.
like no, like this is I feel this is not representative of Star Trek as a TV show,
Of good Trek at its best.
and
Yeah.
that pretty much every other aspect of it is done better in other episodes. Like literally,
Yeah.
there's a better Moby Dick episode.
I've already made it clear that I feel that this is all just kind of cobbled together from like reused concepts and everything, and I said when we discussed this before we started recording that like give it a couple months, I won't remember this episode at all.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, my biggest problem is in this episode, Kirk off the cuff is just a massive fucking asshole, and clearly the episode at some stage knew that that was the point because it's called Obsession.
right,
But at the end of the day, he was just right, and then they killed the thing, and they're like, "All right, let's go get a
right.
beer. We did it. Kirk was right." It's like, well,
Him
that's
being
horrible.
an obsessed asshole was never a problem necessarily. Like there was never
It
any
was
like actual repercussions of it, especially if they had left in the scene where Bones revived all the people.
it was almost a problem, like that scene where like he's getting confronted, but then he was just correct, and then
Yeah,
the lesson to take away here is, I guess, just don't question your captain. And
yeah.
that's
Like
lame.
you could argue that there's better ways he could have done it, where people would not have gotten killed. The real problem is that he doesn't tell anybody what the thing is until it's like way too late, I think. But you could argue that like I don't know. He's like being blinded by this thing to some extent, and so he's clearly being a worse captain than usual. And you could make the argument that's because of the obsession. And so like maybe that's the point. But if it is, it doesn't play well. Like it just doesn't work.
There isn't that moment where he learns the lesson to like
Yeah.
change his tactics. The lesson he learns is like, oh, if I had shot it, then it wouldn't have mattered. So
Yeah.
whatever.
The lesson
Like,
he
that
learns is
doesn't
I was
really-
right then and I'm still right now.
That doesn't excuse how you yelled at Chekhov.
Right. Or told Scotty and Uhura that they were conspiring against you because they wanted to go
Yeah.
get vaccines to dying people.
That's fucking nuts, dude. Yeah, illogical. I'm gonna slap this one illogical. I don't hate it, but it's not on my list of like you gotta watch this. Normally, that's not a criteria that makes me have to put engage or
Yeah.
thumbs up. But this one is just like I don't. If you skipped this one, I don't think you're missing much of anything.
No, for sure. And honestly, like I think even the way that we were talking about the episode as it was going on, like was just like no part of this was interesting or like even fun to talk about. Like we've talked about probably objectively worse made episodes, but they're fun. And so we have a better time talking about those bad episodes. This is just such a bland nothing episode. I think that's its worst crime, frankly.
With all that in mind, let's move on to a better episode?
Definitely.
I don't know. Let's find out.
Definitely better.
Wolf in the Fold is our next one, and it starts with a big, sexy belly dance.
We do, in fact, start with a belly dancer in a weird pillow on the ground kind of nightclub on a planet that I guess has not invented chairs yet, called Argelia. Bones, Kirk, and Scotty are watching like disgusting perverts. Scotty especially has one of the creepiest smiles yet seen in an episode of Star Trek.
They're in a brothel. Like
We're
they basically more or less just say that. There's a conversation here that they have at the table that they're like, what do they say? This planet's like biggest trait or something is depravity. They say something
like that. Yeah. So of course our three horniest cast members are down on the planet.
Yeah, kind of. Well, hang on.
Well, okay, Chekhov should be here.
I'm not gonna say Scotty's not horny, but Chekhov would definitely bump him off the list.
He's a minor.
It's really a Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. Of almost all of our male crew members.
Not Sulu.
Nope.
That's because he's gay.
Although I don't know if that's canon in the show, at least not yet.
No, it wouldn't be. Actually, Sulu has a daughter in the future.
Well, you could adopt.
Which doesn't. Yeah, but she's also Asian, so I mean, that's the place to adopt from, isn't it? But no, he's.
Well, I don't know what.
I'm pretty sure he has a biological daughter.
Yeah.
But I think we're going off on a tangent now. I think he is alluded to be gay in the new movies, the Abrams universe. In the third one, I think he has a partner.
Yeah. There's also that one episode. What is it? Not Enemy Within. The one where they go to the science facility that's frozen and that guy just like touches stuff with his hand.
Yeah.
I don't remember what that episode was called off the top of my head. But in that episode, he definitely has a relationship with like one of the other crew members that you could read as romantic. There's some glances shared where you're like, yeah, maybe.
Anyone who's listening and upset that I alluded Sulu is gay because George Takei is gay, the answer is it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It really doesn't.
I think he is. I think he is in the J.J. Abrams ones, though. I think that's correct.
Dude could just fuck. I don't know.
Who knows? Anyway.
And what a hero if he does.
After the dancer stops dancing, the dancer, whose name is Kara, comes and sits with our crew at the table because I guess Kirk paid her to. It's certainly implied that he does.
This is yeah.
But she's
brothel.
But she's only there for long enough for Scotty to ask her go on a creepy fog walk. Because he says, oh, the fog of this planet is just like back home in Scotland. Would you like to go walking around in the creepiest weather that people know about?
And like any good professional, she says,
Sure. Bones reminds Kirk that Scotty was apparently off-screen in an explosion that was caused by a woman that threw him into a bulkhead and hurt his head, and so he may now hate women, which I would say is a weird thing to talk about at a brothel.
That's a weird thing to say in general. That's insane what he just
Also,
said.
like, we couldn't have had that in the episode or in a previous episode. He's been in multiple explosions. We couldn't have just, like, alluded to a different thing that happened in an actual. We had to make up a new injury that happened off screen.
I prefer to keep the lore of just Scotty's constantly getting blown up.
Fair enough.
Like we see it on screen. It happens off screen every week. He's getting blown up, and this time by a woman, which they deduced might turn him into an incel. I suppose
That's crazy. Also, I really hate that.
it's
It
the
turns out
dumbest thing
to,
I've ever heard.
yeah, I mean, it turns out to not be true, which is good. But it's weird that Bones is like, a woman broke his heart one time. He might hate women now. It's like, yeah, maybe. I guess, sure.
And the prescription for that, like, how do we make him not hate women? Take him to a whorehouse.
Yeah, let's go watch
Okay.
the dance of the 9 dimes or whatever that shit is. They instead choose to go across town to a place Kirk knows, where he says, I know this place across town where the women," and then he isn't able to finish the sentence because Bones is like, "Oh, I know the place," and so they go to watch presumably a donkey show.
He knows the place, Daniel.
They've been here
He's
before.
been there.
We've played these games before. Unfortunately, on their way to the Space Donkey Show, they hear a scream and find that the dancer, Kara, is dead, stabbed a dozen times, and Scotty standing over her holding a knife in his hand and looking crazy.
I guess he hates women.
That's what that means. I did like the way that the fog looked. I think that the set design on this one was like kind of fun. I mean, it didn't look realistic at all, but it was fun.
Why would you build your... I don't know how else to say it. Just because of the way that they introduced it, the depravity and whatnot.
Yeah.
Why would you build your, like, slut business
Jeez.
in, like, the most haunted-ass foggy ground?
It's implied that that's just what the weather is like on this planet. And as we know, in Star Trek, whole planet's one weather.
Yeah, well, that's just science fiction.
That's just science fiction,
That's true
really.
of every planet.
Yeah. We got to go to Mustafar, which is all a volcano.
As far as I can tell, that's our planet, too.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. So that's a series wrap on Scotty. He'll be going to prison for very clearly having murdered a woman. Unless any absolute crazy horseshit's gonna happen. Uh-oh. We've still got 45 minutes. Guess we'll find out.
Oh, damn. This episode's not over.
After the intro, a small, high-voiced bald man comes in named Mr. Hingis, Mr. Tingus Pingus, who is the detective in charge of the investigation and whose voice I recognized near immediately
Yeah, you would, wouldn't you?
as Piglet from Winnie the Pooh, which means in back-to-back weeks, as far as these episodes being uploaded are going to go, we have heard in Icewind Dale the voice of Winnie the Pooh, and now in Star Trek the voice of Piglet.
That's true. That's true. Although, I'll admit, in my notes... Okay, well, all throughout my notes, every time this character is on screen and I had to mention him, I did write Piglet. But I also made sure to write down in my notes that he was juror number 2 in 12 Angry Men.
He's Mr. Hingis in Star Trek. Remember?
Mr. Pingus.
Mr. Pingus.
Mr. Pigless.
He asks Scotty if he remembers the knife, and he doesn't. He remembers absolutely nothing, and Bones says that's probably because of the concussion. The local prefect, which is not a term that makes sense in the setting that we've built here, because I feel like that's usually a UK thing, but whatever, comes in with his wife, and he says that she's a descendant of an ancient group of magical empathic people who can read people's minds, at which point I was like, just bring Spock's ass down here.
Dude, seriously. I wrote that in all caps.
Just bring Spock's ass down here. We're doing all this shit. We're introducing this new character who, like a witch or some shit, so that we can read people's minds empathetically. Spock talked to a rock and a robot.
Yeah, but it's also important that this person be a woman so that she could... Spoilers, she can die. She's got to die. But there's a reason that Spock is on the bench here that I'll get to in the fun facts.
Oh, exciting. Mr. Pingus Tingus goes to find other witnesses, and he'll be missing from the episode for the next roughly 20 minutes. Because instead, Lieutenant Karen Tracy beams down with a psycho tricorder, a new thing we've invented for no reason, which can apparently scan his memories to see
Yeah,
if
you know
they're
who else?
true or not.
You know what else can do that?
Spock.
Spock. Yeah, Spock.
So we've
There.
introduced a psycho. Keep track. A new brand of witches and a psycho
Yeah.
tricorder in order to
Yeah.
replace a man who
Yes.
is
This man who still works here.
one
Number
teleport
two on the
away.
ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Their AI is trying to take Spock's job.
Yeah, I guess so. Kirk and Bones talk about it briefly, and Bones says Scotty's amnesia could be his body's way of blocking out the memory of him doing the murder to defend himself from knowing that he did murder, which it is a thing. That is a thing that happens in the real world, but it just feels really convenient.
You know, something occurs to me. The way that they talk about his concussion here, or like right before this,
Yeah.
is he still concussed?
It feels like
Did
it.
he
Did this
did
just
some
happen?
woman yeah, did a woman like drop a bucket on his head?
He doesn't have any like scars or wounds on his head or anything, which you would think
That week.
if a plot point is that he recently was in an explosion off camera, that you would put at least a bandage on his forehead.
Maybe the back of his head is just bleeding profusely.
Yeah, we can't see.
We can't tell. His shirt's red.
Makes sense. The prefect from earlier, his name was Jarvis, and his wife comes in to do the memory thing now. But they find that the knife that she was going to touch to be able to like get empathetic memories or whatever out of it through witch magic is now missing. And uh-oh, there's another scream. And even more uh-oh, when they follow it, they find once more Scotty over the dead body of that lieutenant from earlier whose name I already forgot and beamed down 1 second ago.
Yeah, you better not put her name on that fucking quiz that you're gonna give me.
It's on there. It's not looking good for our boy here.
No, 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 no. At this point, lock him up. He probably did it.
He's, even before the concussion, looking back at his track record with women, not a great track record on the show.
Whenever he gets interested in a woman, he's very possessive.
Yes.
And when he was gonna like punch Apollo over it, he was like kind of right, but that particular situation just kind of masked how aggressive he was being, I suppose.
Are you telling me you wouldn't fight God for a hottie?
I mean, oh no, I'm thinking about it. I don't know. It depends on the hottie, I suppose.
It's fair. That's fair. A lot of people in Greek mythology have done it, so
That's true.
So maybe
That's
it depends
true.
more on the god.
Those times, that's a good point. You know, it depends on both. There's many factors at play. But now, like, if you said, would you fight a god for like a good Philly cheesesteak? And I'm like, all right, now we're talking.
Yeah, it's not at all concerning that you put the value of a cheesesteak over that of a woman.
And I've said the word slut so many times in this. We're
You're
done.
having a real Scotty episode.
This one's done.
After a new commercial break, they wake up Scotty, because he was, I guess, unconscious in the chair over the dead lieutenant. And he again doesn't remember anything very conveniently. So
That's a good strat, by
Yeah.
the way. If you're ever caught in a murder, like if you're literally caught knife in hand, just like full Woody Andy's coming. Just hit the deck
Yeah.
and just pretend like, oh, I don't know where I am.
In all situations in which you have the right to remain silent, use it.
Mm-hmm.
The best, the number one best thing you can do is not do the crime. The second best thing you can do is shut the fuck up. Jonathan Majors, you should have done that.
Oh, Jonathan. And now look where you are.
Now look where you are. They ask if there's another entrance to the room where he killed the lieutenant, and the guy's like, yeah, but it's been locked for years. There's no way it could be unlocked. And then Bones is like, I'll go see if it is. And then basically a little while later, he's going to come back and be like, I couldn't tell.
What?
He comes back later and he's like, I don't know. It could have been unlocked. It could have not been unlocked. I don't know what I was looking at.
What kind of Schrodinger's door is this?
Just a wasted like little piece of information to be like, there is another entrance, but we can't tell anything about it because we sent Bones to look at it for some reason. Anyway, at this point, Dr. Hingus Pingus the Piglet comes back in with two witnesses whose names are, and this won't matter, and I'm sure you don't remember because why would you? Tark, who was apparently Kara's father and has a very funny waxed mustache, and Morla, Kara's fiance, with a nose so flat it could have been drawn on with a pencil.
Yeah. I recognized the dude. Well, they're both dudes. I recognized the not dad dude. because there's a shot at the very beginning where Scotty's flirting with the girly, and he kind of gives this look of like, "Ooh, I'm mad." So
Yeah,
he's kind of here as a red herring.
for sure.
Spoilers, he didn't do it.
Yeah.
Um,
The dad was also
at
there.
the
He like plays in the band for the dancer,
Yeah, I
but
I didn't recognize him because I guess I
you
wasn't
were
looking at the bands
you were
because there was
looking
a
at the
belly
belly
dancer on
dancer.
screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, come on. And so luckily Kirk walks straight up to the dad and he's like, "I recognize you. You were the drummer in the little band thing." And the way he says, he's like, "That's right. I played for her ever since she was a child. Also, she was my daughter." Lead with that.
Lead with the daughter
You're
part,
burying the
actually.
lead, dude.
Yeah. Relationship to the
Um,
victim is a little bit more important to which instrument you played in the marching band.
but other than the other guy, the fiance, as we come to learn,
Morla.
other than him being a red herring of like, he left you because you suck. These guys have no reason to be here
Yeah, they
other
don't
than
like
that.
each other. We did see earlier, yeah, like you said, and he says it himself. He said that he felt jealous of her dancing for other men, so he got mad and left before
Also,
she
like
did.
jealousy is outlawed here. Like
It's a
they say something like you're not allowed. If you're jealous, you gotta go.
yeah. I don't think it's outlawed, but his dad was, or her dad was basically like, "Hey man, she's a belly dancer at a brothel, probably.
Hmm.
Um, if you can't hang with that, like, you're probably not gonna have a good time being her husband." Which is fair.
But there are points where it's not in this interaction. It's in one of the next ones where he says something. The fiance says something about how he loved her and she loved him, and this dad is such a hater. He's like, "No, she didn't love you because you're a beta male."
You're a
Like, all
little
right,
baby
dude,
boy.
leave him alone. She's dead. I
Yeah.
mean, granted, he thinks he did it. I'm sure, but he didn't. So come on.
Jarvis, the prefect, then lightly accuses Kirk of trying to protect his friend Scotty. At which point, the wife, whose name I've written down is apparently Sibo or Sybo, Sybo,
Mm.
again says that she's ready to do her witch thing. So Kirk asks that the room be sealed so there can be no outside interference, which they then do. So if there's another murder, it'll be a closed door murder.
Ooh, I wonder if there'll be another murder.
Spock calls Kirk and asks if he can beam Scotty up. Kirk says, no. So Spock does exist in this episode.
Yes.
Kirk says no, we have to do it by local laws because, we're on their planet. We'll follow their rules, which is good. It's an important thing to say because, you could very easily just be like, all right, we're out of here. But
Yeah.
I do like that
Uh,
they're doing that.
yeah, I think every iteration of Star Trek always has at least one episode where we run afoul of local laws and customs and have to play by their rules. There's famously an episode of Next Gen where Wesley Crusher is like playing catch with some kids on a planet and he like falls in some rose bushes or breaks something and they're like, "Oh, death penalty."
Guess you'll die.
And they have to like get Wesley out judicially. I don't know, it's funny.
At this point, all the gathered people, which are Kirk, Bones, Scotty, the prefect Jarvis, his wife Sibo, Piglet, Hingus Tingus, Tark the dad, and Morla the fiance, join hands around a strange rune-covered table. And Sibo, the wife, tells them to concentrate on the flames, and then immediately starts feeling negative emotions and says that there is an evil here that hates women.
Reddit.
It's Reddit. The killer is Scotty's Reddit account.
Oh no.
She then starts listing a bunch of names. They are Baratis, Kesla, and Regic, which is unfortunately very close to Reddit.
That's Reddit. That's him.
And she
It's
says these
it's
names.
it's he's complaining about how women hate men who are 5'6".
Yeah. He's like, Regic shows up and he's like, "Ugh, why do girls only like bad boys? Why don't they ever like nice guys?"
R/Jack the Ripper.
R/slash am I the Ripper?
Ooh. R
Uh,
slash rip this.
She says,
But that's about Beyblades, so it's okay.
"Oh, okay, okay, okay. That one's good. We can go on that one."
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. That one's a lot.
she says the names over and over again until the lights go out. Uh, and when the lights come back on, Scotty is holding the dead wife who now has a knife sticking out of her back.
Come on, dude.
You
Scotty,
gotta
you're an
stop.
idiot.
You gotta stop.
When they question him about it, he's like, "I heard her scream, so naturally my male instinct was to protect the young woman." It's like, you're an idiot.
My instinct was to run over there and stab her. I mean, catch her.
Your instinct should have been to run as far away as possible.
At this point, yeah, probably. Bones and Kirk talk about. Bones says Scotty wouldn't do this, and Kirk's like, well, yeah, but what about his head injury? That could be why he's doing it. And Hingus Pingus is like, yeah, probably. That's almost exactly surely what it is. I think your friend is for sure guilty. So at this point, a lot of the people in the room are just kind of being like, yeah, I guess he did it, but why did he do it? Because the evidence is pretty damning.
It's Bones. It's Bones that keeps saying the head injury thing, right? Like
It's
he's got that
Bones
head
and then
injury.
Kirk. Yeah.
Okay. So are they in the 60s massive proponents of studies of CTE and what it
Right.
can do to athletes?
Naturally. Yeah. Do we even have proper football helmets yet? Or are we still in the leather ones in the 60s?
Well, proper, right? Like what does proper mean?
Yeah, that's
No,
fair.
we didn't have proper, but I don't know if they still had. I don't think so.
Anyway, they tell the people on the planet, they tell Hingist and Jarvis that they have a machine on the Enterprise that can record Scotty's conscious and subconscious memories. To which I said, where has this been the whole time?
They stopped using leather helmets in the 50s.
Okay, so we just got helmets.
Yeah, we've had them for like 17 years at this point.
Well, when in the 50s? Because this is what, 68?
I think we're in 67 right now. So it said so like around 1950, like on the dot. So
Okay, all right. Anyway, so we've introduced a third thing to do what a mind meld could do very easily instead. So they all agree to go to the ship and use the machine on him and see if he's guilty, because if he is, he will be executed in the way of the land, which is apparently really slow and painful.
yeah, they say death by slow torture, and I'm wondering what that could mean.
I mean, it's not good.
Are you familiar with the pair of anguish?
I think I might be.
Yeah, that seems like something they do here on this planet.
Yeah, maybe. After the break, Kirk explains that the thing is basically just a lie detector, which we did see in an earlier episode, so
Yeah.
I guess I don't know if it's exactly the same, but it is the thing from the first Mud episode
Mm-hmm.
that was just telling him off the whole time, basically.
Yeah.
I don't know that it was able to detect conscious and subconscious memories at the time, but why not? They start the interrogation, and the computer says that Scotty couldn't have had blackouts from his head wound. It's able to like know the severity of his head wound from medical records that Bones inputted, and is able to say no, he definitely was not blacking out, which is not a good sign. But it confirms that his statement that he didn't kill the wife Sibo, and that he doesn't remember killing Kara or Lieutenant Karen, which doesn't help a ton. It's like he doesn't believe he did one of the murders, and he doesn't remember the other two.
Maybe if he did do it, he would remember it. So there, I think he's probably innocent. Let him go.
He says that when the light went out, there was something between him and Sibo, something that he describes like an evil draft out of a slaughterhouse. At which point I'm going, is this a ghost episode?
Yeah, that's yeah. It is. It is. It is, but it isn't. But it is.
We got a ghost in the house. They then interrogate the fiance, Morla, who also comes out pretty much clean, except when Tark says that Kara didn't love him.
That's what I'm talking about. It's so fucked up.
They then
It's
feed.
like that's unrelated, sir.
Yeah, it's like, hey man, but I didn't kill her though.
Kicking him while he's down.
They then feed the names that Sibo said earlier into the computer, most notably Regic, which the computer goes, yeah, that's a nickname for Jack the Ripper. And I went, uh-oh, where's this episode
true?
going?
Is that true, by the way?
Red Jack is. They keep
Oh,
saying Regic, but it's spelled in the subtitles
right.
Redjac.
Red Jack, I gotcha.
Yeah. Also Spring Heel Jack, but that one doesn't come up.
Hmm.
They then immediately start acting like Jack the Ripper is for sure the killer and definitely real and still alive. Like they talk about how he couldn't be alive, but the conversation is less like, well, that's impossible. That must be like, oh, I wonder why. They're not going. I wonder why they're referencing like Jack the Ripper. Someone's doing like a copycat thing. Instead, they're going, that's impossible. This person who may never have existed couldn't still be alive, right? like they're
Well,
what?
let me tell you, they were faster to believe that Jack the Ripper was alive and the villain of this episode than some crew members were ready to believe that the space gas was a thing in the last episode.
It's truly insane. I just think it's crazy for the computer to be like, this word that the person was saying is a nickname for Jack the Ripper, and to immediately go, well, I guess that's the killer, instead of
That's
going
him.
like, okay, what is this a clue to?
He's here.
Yeah.
He's literally here.
Kirk says everything points to Jack the Ripper, and I just started screaming, what do you mean?
He's here. Jack the Ripper is he's the bad guy.
It truly feels like they are doing the same thing from the second Mud episode to just confuse the shit out of the situation to get their friend Scotty off for 3 counts of murder.
Maybe. Unless Jack the Ripper shows up, then you'll have egg on your face.
Yeah, that'll look really stupid. They talk about how Sibbo said the killer survived on fear, so they ask the computer if it's possible for a creature to live off of fear, and it says yes, because apparently there's some other creatures somewhere that live off of the emotion of love.
Whoa, Pennywise.
Yeah, yeah.
No, not the love part, still the fear.
Yeah, yeah. They also say some sexist shit about how that must be why Jack the Ripper targeted women, because they're easier to scare and they feel emotions more powerfully.
Right. Well, going by 60s logic makes perfect sense.
Yeah, sure, yeah. They then do a quick Google search for other mass knife-based killings of women and find somehow a straight line from Earth to Argelius that most recently stopped at Rigel 4 1 year ago, which, is the same planet that Piglet Hingus Pingus was just on.
Yeah. Confirming that this is Jack the Ripper. He was there. He went from Earth to here. It is him. He's different, but he's here.
We never expected for Piglet to be Jack the Ripper, but it turns out he was the whole time.
I think you'll find that we pretty much expected it since Piglet showed up on screen. I don't know if there was a single point of the episode that I was convinced that it wasn't Piglet, except maybe there was a wavering moment with the prefect guy, just because he looked so creepy.
Sure, yeah.
And I'm like, what's up with this dude? He looks sinister. But basically every time that Piglet was like, oh, I don't know, it's got to be your guy, let's kill him. I'm like, okay, well, it's you. It's you.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of still think Scotty did it.
Well, okay, maybe Piglet didn't do all 3, right? Because I guess Scotty hates women. But you know what? I'm gonna tell you what really pissed me off about this.
We couldn't possibly ask Scotty about it because Scotty doesn't know.
It's true. Scotty doesn't know.
Scotty doesn't know. Do
Um,
you remember that song?
So, I know it's a song,
Okay.
and that sometimes that's all you can get out of me. So, okay, women be dying in this episode. We're 3 women down, and now we have the knowledge that this thing seeks out specifically women because women are scaredy cats, I guess.
Sure.
Meanwhile, the people in this room are comprised of a bunch of men and the single cutest ensign I've ever seen in my life, taking notes. And I'm like, can you get her out of here, please?
Hey, real fast, can we just like have every woman go somewhere else on the ship real fast?
Can she excuse herself from the situation? Has she not been paying attention? She's taking notes very diligently, but like she's in direct danger.
Yeah, but only if something crazy happens. So they start suspecting that Hingus Pingus might have done it. And when they run computer analysis on the knife, they also find that the knife is from Rigel 4, so they start closing in on Hingis, who then immediately freaks the fuck out, turns into a different stuntman in a
A
bad
stuntman
bald
with a
cap,
bald cap. Yep, that's what I wrote too.
does like a vaulting kick off the table to show off a weirdly well-formed ass for a stuffed pig creature. But don't worry, Kirk wins, punches him in the face so hard he dies.
That's awesome. Come on, that's a
He
point for
punches
Kirk right there.
this little tiny pig man, and Bones walks over and goes, "He's dead."
Nice.
And we're like, "Okay, problem solved." Nuh-uh. Then the computer starts laughing. So the ghost of Jack the Ripper has now possessed the entire computer system of the Enterprise in what can only be described as a thing I didn't see fucking coming.
Bet you didn't think you'd be saying that when we started this show.
Nope. Sure didn't. Thought this was a Star Trek show.
You know what? Say it again. Say it again for the people in the back. The
So,
ghost of Jack the Ripper has possessed the Enterprise.
Is now in control of the Enterprise. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Kirk and Spock head to the bridge, but the turbo lift fails, which doesn't seem to matter. They just put it into manual and then keep going up anyway. So Jack the Ripper, not super familiar with turbo lifts and how they work, I guess.
Well, no, he's from the cobblestone age. He doesn't know.
From the olden times.
He doesn't know what a turbo lift is.
When they get to the bridge, they're able to fix the life support system temporarily before Jack the Ripper can start, murdering everybody by just turning off the life support, which is good. But then Jack the Ripper's voice starts, talking shit from every computer in the entire system, which is...
That's really funny. It's kind of like Evil Dead.
Yeah, and it would be more intimidating if it wasn't Piglet's voice, but, here we are.
Aw, Piglet.
A nurse comes in and starts drugging the crew to be happy because remember earlier we said Jack the Ripper's ghost feeds off of the emotion of fear, so if we drug everyone, he won't have anything to eat, I guess.
Yeah, that follows. Fuck it, let's just keep going kind of way.
So, Spock has the computer compute pi so that it's too busy to do the stuff that Jack wants it to do. To which I was like, if he's in control of the computer systems, can't he just make it stop doing that?
No, he's Jack the Ripper. He doesn't know how to do that.
I guess.
Cobblestone and oil lamps, right? Come on.
But he's been alive the whole time. He's seen
No,
things.
that's not how it works.
They go to the briefing room where everyone is now drugged except Spock, Kirk, Bones, and the prefect Jarvis. Jack flees the computer and possesses Jarvis, but they drug him too. So he then flees back into the, I guess, corpse of Hingis, who grabs a lady at knife point who couldn't give less of a fuck because she's very high. But it doesn't matter. They basically immediately kick his ass. It's a 1 second fight. They then drug Hingis and launch his ass into space to just float until he dies.
I didn't think they were gonna space him, and then they started dragging him to the teleporter, and I'm like, they're gonna space him right out the airlock, and there he goes.
There he goes. Somebody else's problem, I guess.
And they do specifically say, somebody says, well, what's gonna happen now? And well, he's just gonna float out there with nothing to do until he starves to death.
Until he dies and dissipates or
Holy
something. Yeah.
shit!
The whole crew except Kirk and Spock are super high and laughing right now. Kirk makes a joke about how for the next 5 hours we're gonna have the happiest crew in the Starfleet or whatever.
That's funny. That's a good place to end it.
Well, and then Spock says that Kirk should go back down to the planet and relax since that was the whole reason they were down there in the first place. And then Kirk is like, you should come with me. We can go to the place with the girls who do the... And he cuts himself off because he realizes that Spock is the only man on this ship who's not a huge pervert unless it's once every 7 years or whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's where the episode ends.
And he says, well, more prostitutes for me. And he goes.
I think it's implied that he's just like, well, guess I'll go do nothing. Or masturbate. Anyway, you got any trivia about Jack the Ripper's ghost?
I've got a couple things. So first, let's start with why Spock isn't really in this episode. Because I think that's the funniest thing that we've come across so far as trivia goes. So this episode was made around the time that Leonard Nimoy, our boy Leonard Nimoy, was nominated for an Emmy for his portrayal of Mr. Spock.
Oh, congratulations.
Can you Yeah, it's really cool. Can you think of anybody on the cast or crew that might have been really, 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 really jealous of that?
Oh, it's got to be Chekhov.
So, uh, Shatner didn't like it, and so they stopped getting along for a good bit, those two actors. And this episode was kind of written in an attempt to appease Shatner and keep
Keep
Kirk
them
more center
separate.
stage and kind of push Spock to the side a little bit.
Oh, it was specifically to push Spock to this. I assumed it was just to like give them space to not be in the same scenes for a minute, but no, it was specifically to give the main
Maybe.
character of the show more of a spotlight than he already has.
Yes, that's what it says. I
He's
mean,
the fucking captain. What do you want?
we've had episodes in the past where like there was one that was like they're not getting along, so Spock stays on this ship and Kirk goes to that other ship, right? We did that once already. But this one seems to be more of a let Kirk do things, which I don't know if that really comes across that much. Obviously, Spock is not in it as much, but
Yeah.
did Kirk get more of a spotlight than he normally does? I don't really
I
feel
wouldn't
that.
think, yeah, I don't really think so. I mean, he's the main
But
character of every episode, pretty
but
much.
maybe allegedly less Spock is all Shatner wanted in this. Worth mentioning that long after the series wrapped, like they did bury the hatchet and got along better.
They don't
Um,
squash this beef for another season and a half.
uh, I don't know. Their relationship is a weird one, very on again, off again. I think Shatner was just very. The, the entire cast is on the record saying that Shatner's just kind of
Kind of
a
an asshole.
bitch. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Um,
unfortunately not very surprising.
it is what it is. Although I don't think the pushing Spock out of the show thing is something that's going to last
No, he's
more
like
than this episode.
Spock's like the most. No, yeah, I'll say it. Yeah, I think Spock is the most popular character from this series.
I think you could say that Spock is the most popular and famous character from Star Trek, period.
Yeah, like everyone knows Captain Kirk is not far behind. I wouldn't say, but
No, yeah, he'd
like,
probably be number two.
but yeah, Spock's the guy.
So, as we all know, and as we have discussed before, James Doohan is missing a finger. It was a hand injury from D-Day in World War II. And so he makes a constant effort throughout this show to kind of like hide that hand. It's always like behind his back or at his side in a pocket or holding a thing behind a clipboard, whatever, whatever, whatever. Um, so in this one, that is the hand that's on the lie detector thing. So he kind of has it draped over the side, but there's a close-up shot where they show his hand, quote unquote,
Right.
on the thing. It's got all fingers. It's a stand-in hand. They just used a different guy's hand.
All right. Yeah, sure. Why not?
I don't know why Scotty just couldn't be missing a finger, but
Uh,
whatever.
I mean, if it made him uncomfortable for people to see it, like I get it.
Yeah, I
But
don't. I'll go on the record and say I don't know if it was a him thing that he didn't want people to see it, or
oh,
if it was the show. Like, well, we're just not going to show it. I
okay.
don't know if they either were thinking like, well, you're missing a finger, but Scotty's not, or if
Scotty's
they
not. Yeah.
someone in like the producing thought it was like grotesque or something like that. I can't imagine. The dude's a war hero, so
The only thing I could think of is like, oh, this is in the far super future. Surely we'll have a way to fix,
oh,
amputations
they
by
they
now or something.
regrew his finger, regrew his
Yeah.
finger.
I don't know. Maybe.
I've also got here that in the bar, not that anyone would have noticed this because we were all watching a belly dancer at the time, but in the bar scene, there was a lot of reused costuming from previous episodes. There was an extra wearing a turtleneck from The Cage, and
Oh.
uh, there was two extras walking down the foggy street that were wearing cadet uniforms for Finnegan on shore leave,
Huh.
and
I definitely
Commissioner
did see
Ferris's costume from the Galileo 7.
yeah. I definitely remember seeing other people who looked like they were from Starfleet and being like, are we gonna talk about those guys?
and a colonist jumpsuit recycled from Devil in the Dark. So yeah, there was just a bunch of they just raided the closet.
Yeah, it's fair. I mean, what are we gonna do? Build a bunch of new costumes for new extras in the background of this shit? Like, no.
Yeah, I mean reusing costumes is less noticeable than reusing sets, which we've also done. So
Right, for sure.
especially if they're thinking they won't notice we have a belly dancer on screen. True, very true.
Fair enough. So, how are you feeling about this episode?
Man, I don't know. I like this one better than Obsession,
I do too.
but do I give it gauge for? I don't. Hmm. We spend 2/3 of the episode trying to prove Scotty innocent,
Right,
very poorly, I might add. And by the time we do prove him innocent, things just fly off the handle at
right.
neck break speed in a way that confuses and scares me. I really don't know how to rate this one.
I'm gonna give this one an illogical. I think
Okay.
if this episode had ended with it just being like sort of a regular murder mystery, like we figure out who really did it and it wasn't Scotty, I think this
hmm
has the potential to have been an engage. But the
hmm
fact that we like in the third act just ramp up to the ghost of Jack the Ripper is not what I want. Like
That's
it doesn't really make any
that's a good
sense.
point.
They don't it's just stupid. Like it's just incredibly stupid. And I get that that might be like what Star Trek is to some extent. Not stupid, but like doing
Well,
reference well, maybe sometimes. But like doing references or things like that. But most of the time it's not literal. Like yeah, we've had Apollo show up. Um,
in the
but
same kind of thing too, where they say like, well, he probably went to Earth and people thought he was Apollo the god.
right, but in this case, it's
So
just no. It's just like a ghost. It's like
Jack
a
the
ghost entity of Jack the Ripper.
Jack the Ripper was. It implies that he was an alien ghost spirit thing that went through Earth and then just kept on going.
Yeah, I guess. But it's just like I don't know. I really wasn't a fan of the twist. I don't know. It just didn't feel good to me. So yeah, it's got to be an illogical for me.
I'll agree with you, and the reason I'll cite my illogical grade is we're gonna circle back to the he had a workplace accident caused by a woman, so he's gonna hate
Yeah.
women
So
now unless we take him to a brothel.
yeah,
That's weird,
it's
dude.
very weird. I mean,
Like
I
by
don't know
that
how
logic,
weird that is in the '60s, but now it's like, what does
what
that
if
mean?
what if Spock caused the accident? Not that he would, but what if he
Right.
did? Was he gonna hate Vulcans? What if Sulu caused the accident? Or Chekhov? You gonna hate Russians?
Yeah.
Is that the logic we're following here? That doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah, it's just like, cause, especially because it's not like it was, the implication is that it was just like a freak accident. It wasn't like somebody attacked him.
No,
It's not
it
like you got
like
bit by a dog as a kid and now you don't like dogs. Like
yeah,
you're an
and
adult.
it strips away like Scotty's character, his fortitude. Like you telling
Yeah.
me that he's so mentally fragile that he's gonna Jack the Ripper uses Reddit, not Scotty. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and it's just another piece of like really unfortunate like behavior between Scotty specifically and women.
Yeah.
Well, we've had like like at least 3 episodes now where one of the major plot points of the episode is Scotty is really creepy to women.
We're unraveling something here where we 9 times out of 10 whenever Kirk is with a woman, it's like laughably, not creepy, but it's the Shatner must kiss lady thing, right?
Right.
And we've had creepy moments with Bones with women, creepy moments with Scotty with women, creepy moments with Chekhov with women. I
Yeah.
just don't think they knew how to handle women
They
in the
didn't. For
60s.
sure they
That's the
didn't.
problem here.
But I do think that they're doing an even worse job, like an especially worse job with Scotty. Because it feels like a lot of the times when it's with all those other people, when they're hitting on a woman, the woman seems to like be receptive to that and be like consenting. But
hmm
in every instance I can think of with Scotty, the woman's not interested or murdered. Like
Or
the
or
lady in the
Lady
Apollo
of the
episode
Night.
didn't care about, like, was
She
not
was not.
interested in Scotty. She was like, oh,
She was
sure
not
thing, Grandpa.
reciprocating.
Right?
And then this one was a prostitute. So
Right. So like, Kirk's
allegedly,
weird to women for sure. Like he's definitely like, a misogynist.
yeah.
But at least the women are like into it in the '60s. But they can't even make it seem like the women have any amount of interest in Scotty, and so it just comes off extra bad.
Which is a shame because Scotty's our favorite.
At this point, I don't know. He was.
I think Spock's my favorite.
Spock's
I mean,
probably
how can he
favorite.
not be?
Yeah. Yeah.
I like Sulu a lot too, though.
Well, tell us who you think the least creepy male crew member of the
Who
TOS Enterprise is.
who on the Enterprise is the least amount of sex pest? And you can't say Uhura.
Yep, because we all know that it is technically her.
Yeah. I'm also going to rule out Nurse Chapel. Can't
Yeah.
say Christine either.
Can't say any of the women because they. Well, although I don't know, Nurse Chapel did have that bit where she was like hitting on Spock real heavy.
A little bit.
I don't
A
know.
little bit.
So it's still her. But let us know who you think it is in the comments down below on Spotify or YouTube. You can reach out to us at either of those two places, or preferably both. You can follow the show on Twitter at rsr_pod. You can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Daniel J. McGee.
You can follow me on Blue Sky at Skylar8bit.
And until next time, everybody, let's see what's out there.
The game's just starting, the world's so bright. Jump right in, everything feels right. Let's play, take a trip back in time where pixels and memories intertwine. Come on in, it's time to play. Let's rewind to yesterday. The fun begins, we're here to stay. Ready, set, replay.